Hello again, and welcome to the second unit of Module 3. Do you know how to make your classroom atmosphere more learner and learning-centered? Most students react very positively towards gamification. Some students that have very low grades and perform poorly in lessons get the chance to shine by doing small tasks and gain points which are not possible in the traditional grading system. For example, students who bring the books every week or post home assignment on time and show responsibility can be rewarded with experience points. Students who help their friends get a badge which has high XP value and is added to the total score. Sounds weird for a traditional classroom environment? Not at all. By viewing the leaderboard or progress bars, students feel competitive and push themselves a bit harder than normally. By using game elements in education, not actual games, we can motivate our students to improve their achievements. By using a very practical implementation of gamification, anyone can increase motivation, create positive competition, more fun, and hence increase the performance. Let's have a closer look at how to make it possible. In the first unit, we learned why gamification is so appealing to people of all ages, especially to teenagers. It boosts motivation and engagement. Teaching in the digital age to a generation which is overloaded with the information and culture immediacy is a huge challenge. Game strategies allow teachers to captivate teens with the educational content. However, they are not so much about teaching but more about classroom management, helping to address one of the biggest issues nowadays faced by the educators: the lack of motivation to learn. In this unit, we will try to identify what makes gamification successful. Let's start our second unit of Module 3. By the end of this unit, you will be able to give a definition of a game, identify characteristics of a good educational game, compare different types of players, explain hierarchy of game elements, and give examples of successful gamification. Let's start with the definition of a game. According to Collins Dictionary, a game is an activity or sport usually involving skills, knowledge, or chance in which you follow fixed rules and try to win against an opponent or to solve a puzzle. Key components of games are goals, rules, challenges, and interaction. Games generally involve mental or physical stimulation, and often both. Many games help develop practical skills, serve as a form of exercise, or otherwise perform an educational, simulational, or psychological role. If we want to find answers to the question what makes a good learning game, we need to concentrate on three factors when designing strong learning games: integration, motivation, and focus. When you play a learning game, you need to make sure that learning and play are integrated. This means that to succeed in the game, you also need to master the learning goal behind the game. We need to make sure that the game is as intrinsically motivating as possible. The actual key activity in the game must be interesting and engaging. Motivation should be in tune with the requirements of good gameplay, like good balancing, a well-tuned reward system, varied consequences, and quick user feedback. This can also be summarized into the concept of challenge. When a player experiences motivation, they are challenged, which is the consequence of a number of underlying variables working well. Feedback is quick, precise, and relevant when delivered to the player. The reward system is well balanced with a progression that follows Csikszentmihalyi's flow theory. These motivational elements are largely a result of the rules set up by the system. The three most important factors in these are formulating clear objectives in relation to the tasks and the activities, a good balance between the challenges of the activities and the understanding of one's own skills, good feedback loop after the tasks and activities with adjustments if necessary. The flow model can make an excellent contribution on the work floor, and it can create improvements and increase in effectiveness. Because of clear objectives, for example, work is carried out more effectively. Because of heightened state of concentration, people are better focused on carrying out the tasks and activities. By developing self-confidence, skills will increase. By understanding the positive effect of feedback, it is possible to carry out a timely intervention. Working well together and synergy create innovation. There is an opportunity to develop personal skills and to be stimulated by personal coaching. A good learning game succeeds when it does not become void of meaning, when there is motivation. The underlying principle behind learning with games is to take advantage of the engagement and attraction of the game format, and therefore it needs to be sustained no matter what. Otherwise, the game really stops being a game and should be categorized as educational software or similar. And the final element is the game's focus. Do you know what type of players you are? What about your students? If you want to find out, please stop the recording, follow the link using QR code, and do the quiz. This player classification was offered by Andrzej Marchewski in 2015. Marchewski wanted to look at a more gamification-specific taxonomy for types of user within systems. Starting from the perspective of intrinsic motivation, he chose to use ideas from Edward Deitch and Richard Ryan's self-determination theory and Daniel Pink's drive. Self-determination theory describes three intrinsic motivations: autonomy, competency, and relatedness. Drive talks about autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Combining these, he settled on four motivations: relatedness, autonomy, master, and purpose. From these four types of intrinsically motivated user types were described: socializer, free spirit, achiever, and philanthropist. As well as these four types, a fifth type was suggested, an extrinsically motivated type, player. Finally, and much later on, a sixth type was included, the disruptor. In brief, these types behave as follows. Socializers are motivated by relatedness. They want to interact with others and create social connections. They are interested in parts of the system that help them do this. These are the ones to promote your internal social networks, most motivated by the social connections aspect of relatedness. Free spirits are motivated by autonomy. They want to create and explore. They have two basic subtypes: creators and explorers. Explorers don't want to be restricted in how they go through their personal journey to explore the system. They are also likely to find the most holes in a system. Creators want to build new things. They will have the fanciest avatars and create the most personal content. They seek self-expression and autonomy. Achievers are motivated by mastery. They are looking to learn new things and improve themselves. They want challenges to overcome. They are the ones who want to be the best at things, or at least be achieving things within the system. They want to get 100% of the internal learning system. They do these for themselves and are probably not that bothered with then showing off to others about it. They will compete with others, but as a way to become better than others. The system provides the platform, Other players are just things to be overcome and mastered. May also be motivated by status as a representation of their personal achievement. They need a system that will enrich them and lead them towards mastery. Philanthropists are motivated by purpose and meaning. This group are altruistic, wanting to give to other people and enrich the lives of others in some way with no expectation of reward. They want to feel that they are part of something bigger. These are the ones who will answer endless questions on forums just because they like to feel they are helping. They want a system that allows them to enrich others and feel a sense of altruism and purpose. Players are motivated by rewards. They will do what is needed of them to collect rewards from a system. They are in need for themselves. Players are happy to play your game where points and rewards are up for grabs. Disruptors are motivated by change. In general, they want to disrupt your system, either directly or through other users to force positive or negative change. Disruptors want nothing to do with it, and the others need a bit more to keep them interested. Knowing which types of players your students are, you can think about appropriate elements to include. In 2012, Verbeek and Hunter described game elements as a hierarchy. They identify such categories as dynamics, mechanics, and components. They suggest that one should start building their gamification system from top to bottom, starting with the high-level design patterns. That is dynamics. Dynamics are the big picture aspects of the gamified system that you have to consider and manage, but you can never directly enter into the game. The most important game dynamics are constraints, emotions, narrative, progression, and relationships. The next level is mechanics. Mechanics are the basic processes that drive the action forward and generate player engagement. Each mechanic is a way of achieving one or more of the dynamics described. A random event, which is a reward that pops up without warning, may stimulate players' sense of fun and curiosity. Verbeek and Hunter identified 11 important game mechanics. They are challenges, chance, competition, cooperation, feedback, resource acquisition, rewards, transactions, turns, win states, and customization. The third level, which is the base of the pyramid of game elements, is components. Components are more specific forms that mechanics or dynamics can take. The 17 important game components are achievements, Easter eggs, creativity tools, avatars, badges, boss fights, collections, combat, content unlocking, gifting, leaderboards, levels, points, quests, social graphs, teams, and virtual goods. After you have chosen necessary game elements, it's time to implement them. Gamification is in many ways like art and science infused. On one hand, it is based on emotional concepts such as fun, play, and user experience, while on the other hand, it is about measurable system that serves certain objectives. If we focus on emotional side more, we can lose important things out of the sight. If we concentrate solely on the objectives, ignoring fun, gamification will fail as our learners will lose motivation, at least its intrinsic aspect, and they will try to reach the goal for wrong reasons. Fortunately, there is one thing that can help bridge these two aspects. It is called game design. According to Verbeek and Hunter, gamification is best implemented in 6 steps. Define objectives, delineate target behaviors, describe your players, devise activity cycle, don't forget the fun, and deploy the appropriate tools. You can see that only on the last stage we talk about gamification components like leaderboards and points. Before implementing gamification, it is essential to define an objective, to have a clear goal, and to be able to measure the result. If you want to create an educational game for your students, one more important point to consider is activity cycle, engagement loop, or progression stairs. A series of engagement loops, one followed after another, leads to what is called a progression loop, or sometimes it's even called the player's journey. Another example of such journey is progression stairs. As they progress, they may be able to work upstairs. Gamifying a class implies adapting diverse game elements such as a point system, incentives and rewards, avatars, game narratives, challenges and missions that keep students engaged in the game, and continuous feedback, among others. Placing participants in a game context, defining rules, setting objectives, and establishing different ways of reaching the goal generates a sense of freedom in the game. And on this slide, you can see a list of applications which can be used both for gamifying the whole class of students, like Classcraft, and for individual learners like Duolingo, for teams like Bamboozle, and for personal practice like WordWall. Many of these applications are familiar to you, so I will tell briefly about some of them. Duolingo is a free language learning application on your mobile phone. There are a ton of languages to learn: Spanish, French, German, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Italian, Portuguese, Dutch, Irish, and the list goes on and on. Duolingo is proud that they infuse gamification into every lesson, from in-lesson grading to streak count and hearts. Duolingo has done a terrific job at making language learning incredibly fun and easy. Integrating game elements on the Classcraft platform has been a good response to gamification of the whole class. This platform allows us to personalize a course and incorporate Google Classroom as well. For example, we can reward timely delivery of activities, keep students' statistics, class participation, and academic performance from Google Classroom grades, and the activities completed on the Classcraft platform. But be careful, not all the features are free. Class Dojo is a free for use in the classroom, assigning positive values to the class and as areas that need work. For example, a student might set a positive, such as a good teamwork, but they may also be given a need work notice for no homework, say. Behavior is rated with a number that the teacher can pick, from 1 to 5 points. Negative behavior is also weighed on a scale of -1 to -5 points. Students then are left with a score on which they can work to improve. It also provides at-a-glance score for both teacher and parents to track students' progress. It may look like childish, but it proved to work with adults as well, and certainly can work pretty well with growing kids, teenagers. There can be a long list of sites and applications teachers can employ to help them gamify their classroom environment, both traditional and virtual. However, it is especially important to use game elements and mechanics when teaching online, especially when teaching teens online. If you scan the QR code, you will get the whole list of best gamification examples which are around us and work extremely well, involving us into the world of game when we don't even realize it. And remember, gamification is not only about using web applications. It's about employing game elements to your educational context. Here's a periodic table of gamification. In the bottom row, you can see a list of player types marked with a particular color. In the table, you can find some features which are of the same color. that are suitable for this particular type of a player. We may take it as a joke, but in my opinion, it's worth considering because gamification is here not only to stay, but to change our future.